640 acres. It's a huge bit of land. It was offered
640
to white settlers
if you were
only,
married.
specifically.
So stop.
If you were black,
You got to do the 640.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is why they, they
640.
generational wealth, all those small towns out in the middle of Montana and then Nebraska, Colorado, all that land that they got, and their kids, got hot rods and cars at 15, 16 years old. They got big BMWs and new cars and all that shit, trucks. All right,
Snowmobiles.
This is why. This is how it happened, because of welfare. White people and welfare go hand in hand in America. Not the so-called Negro, not the so-called Latino or Native American.
It was already here.
But white people.
And it was $320 per person, so they just double it. It would have been
so if you were married, you got
$6 million, according to today's amount right now.
That's crazy.
All right.
And a lot of people.
And how can right? And then how can any other so-called race in a so-called country that's open for everybody? How could they even come close to catching up to even compete? We have none.
It's an earring right by your foot.
So here it says, when I was looking at the first one, the Donation Land Act of 1850, when it goes to eligibility, it says white settlers, both men and women. Now here it says on the impact, it says it also led to conflict with the natives. And then it says for racial exclusions, the law excluded Black, Hawaiian, Indian, and Asian settlers from the land grants, contributing to the racial homogeny of the region.
So anyone who was brown,
yep,
it said Hawaiian. So Asians were a lot darker in the 1800s. They intermixed with Esau even more so over the last 100 years or so. But I've seen the images of them, of the Japanese and the Chinese, going back to the turn of the century. Right around 1900s, they were still really dark.
Mm-hmm.
They were just as dark as and darker than most Negroes collectively. All right. So anyone brown was kept from exactly anyone that was swarthy. All right. And swarthy people.
Exactly. Right.
So they made sure that only red people, the real red people, which is so-called white people,
right,
were able to have prosperity as far as land ownership and the opportunity to have autonomous wealth that they could pass on from generation to generation.
And not to mention, every single one of those put on that from the Oregon Trail on down. All right. Every time when the whites up, they gave them numbers of plaques. They went out and set up their whatever. If there was natives on that land, Jake on that land, whoever was on that land, they fought and killed them off that land. And
5 cents a scalp.
Yeah. And then the government would help them. They will supply. They will help them and reinforce.
They gave Winchester rifles. Mm-hmm. They gave repeater rifles. Mm. Winchester was a game changer. Those what they call them 1864s. What they call them things? Because they're real popular again right now.
Yeah,
those lever action rifles have made a comeback. They're real popular right now. What they do is they modernize them and make it modernize them and making them more tactical now. They look more like it's built more like an AR or M16
right.
versus the Henrys. Yeah, those Henry repeat lever action because they'll fire 45 long, 357s, a 410 shotgun. And so now all of a sudden, if every household had a repeater, 2 repeater pistols where you could fire over and over again versus the musket.
Right.
So you had 2 repeater pistols and you had 1 or 2 rifles, you could do a lot of damage. And so if you arm every family with those.
Oh, and they glorified that with that TV show, The Rifleman.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Con, you're right. And that was the rifleman was popular in the 60s, the 50s.
Yeah. The Rifleman. Yep, sure did.
Because was that in color and black and white?
It was started black and white.
It started black and white. Because I remember watching the reruns when I was a little kid.
I used to watch it too. I used to watch it too, so I can't even say nothing. I used to have gun.
Yeah, because
that's how they open the show. They open up, he get about 5 shots off, then he'll take it, he'll hit it, it'll spin around in his hand, and then he'll start loading, and he walk.
I can see the whole intro.
Yeah, it was him. Yeah, he was Master Mo, I believe.
Yeah, he Master Mo.
He was Master Mo. But that when he was the older guy. All right. Go ahead.
Or indigenous, you were not involved with this deal at all. And of course, one of the biggest downfalls of this was it encroached on native lands. So even though this territory was officially the United States at this point, nobody was out here. This was just the Wild West. So this was native tribes living their lives. And as white people started moving over from the east out to the west, taking over, encroaching on people that were already living there.
Oh, somebody
and
look
didn't-
up the word encroach.
Definition of encroach.
Encroachment.
Yeah, get into Entomon as well. You get it. Go ahead, brother.
Verb. Encroach. To encroach upon anything or to creep upon to it.
Creep.
With some intent. Often implies moving, degrees, occupying, or
There you go.
keeping. Hold on.
Occupying or keeping.
Right, occupying or keeping. It says to seize wrongfully.
Ooh.
Ooh.
All right, and then
Remember
it
that
actually
part
goes
right
into it goes into the second part of that word.
So-
It goes into crook.
Crook.
So why is it that American history books don't reflect that?
That's right, brother.
American history books, they'll tell you this. They push this story together about how the natives just sold Manhattan for a couple beads. Oh wow, they got plastic beads. Wow, here you can have this whole island.
Hey, check this out. It says
Yeah.
occupying or keeping what one thus takes.
So that goes back to what you were reading. Now you can bring it out.
Hey.
And Micah,
Hey, I
The
got
Micah,
another
yep, there
definition.
you go.
Khan, bring it out, brother.
Because in this encroach, it says to intrude
Mm.
gradually, stealthily, or insidiously
Ooh,
upon the
insidiously,
rights
yeah.
property of another.
Insidiously. What is a horror movie called Insidious?
Insidious.
Insidious.
So intrude, because it said
I got
intrude. So it says to thrust or bring in without invitation, permission, or welcome.
So and basically everything that the so-called white man has, this is how he got it. Insidiously,
And it's
intruding. Right.
insidious
And
means
his history doesn't reflect that. They try to soften it up and make it sound like everyone was just happy to see them,
right.
and that they were just wandering around, lost, and
Right.
and
They
it was
came to help.
and Disney birds and Bambi and shit singing and whistling and whistling while you working
Right.
shit.
Come and civilize them.
Right. Exactly.
Insidious means proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects.
Ooh, that's perfect.
So yeah. Ooh, with harmful effects. So all the scalping, all the rape, because that's where you get the word squaw. Squaw means pussy. Bring that piece of pussy over here. You saw that in Prey. All right. How they had the not Prey, but what was that movie? Ravenous with DiCaprio when the French dudes tied the Gadite prison.
Revenant.
They Revenant. Ravenous was about cannibalism, and that was Esau doing that shit too. But to natives and to people, yeah. And they had the Gadite chick tied to the tree, and then all the Frenchmen would come up behind her and just ride her against her will while she was tied to the tree. They would just come up and lift up her shit, and they would hump her while she's tied to the tree.
Damn.
So they tied her face first to the tree with her ass up.
And
And so they would, so they'd be sitting around the fire drinking and shit.
Oh shit.
One of them would
Over
get
there.
up, right?
Go
And then
out.
he'd be done. He'd go sit down and eat. The next one would get up, stumble over there. That's what they were doing, man. Squaw. Yeah, this is the white people's history. This, yes, little
Timmy.
Tommy, all right, little Jennifer. This is how your people got wealthy, and this is why you have autonomous wealth, and you have a really nice Christmas every year.
What's the
Well,
dude-
you used to, because now America's falling.
What's the dude from last week? We was Matt. What? That's what he
Matt
said.
Walsh.
Matt Walsh.
Matt
That's what he
Walsh.
said. He said,
Matt Walsh.
he's proud.
Right,
He
Matt
said,
Walsh.
I'm proud of America history and what we had. These brave guys who came over here and subdued the land with all them savages. That's what he said.
Yeah,
and
he
had a whole
called
bunch
them
of-
the
yeah.
savages.
Yeah.
Right.
But these
You're rape, robbing, and murdering, but they're the savages.
Right.
This Sirach 10:8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. The kingdom is translated from one people to another.
There it is, man.
And the elder called for me to finish this one here, which is Micah, the 2nd chapter. I'm going to 1, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. This all came, and so I start off from Edomite sitting on his bed and saying, you know what? Manifest destiny.
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead on and just take what's not ours.
Evil plan.
Evil plans.
They loved it.
Right?
And spoke highly about
Guess
it.
what?
And they enacted it.
It's
Right?
a part 2 that manifests there.
That's right. And that's
why I
coming
don't like it.
soon. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand. And they covet fields.
So like, can I say, Elder? These niggas is so fucking fucked up. They already got Jake against Jake in the neighborhood. You understand? Like you said, a manager up.
Right.
I don't gotta do a low level wickedness no more. I can do some high level shit now because I done made 2 niggas kill each other.
Pretty much. But here, I'm gonna share this with you too. There's another thing that happened during all of this to add insult to injury in the late 1800s was the Dawes Roll. And I'm gonna read you this AI lie.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna read you this AI lie, which
Yeah,
means
the truth on it.
AI is often programmed.
Yep.
And and we found out too, when it tells the truth, it adjusts and changes the information.
It's just like
Like
a
a brother got AI to admit that the name of the Lord is actually Yahweh. And he screenshotted it, the water Yahweh Shai, he did, Yahweh Shemam Shai. But he went back in to show it.
the
and
next day.
they changed it.
Yep.
All right, but here,
Damn.
this is the Dawes Rolls, and it says, and we all know that the Dawes Rolls were the $5 Indians, which were basically Edomites that signed the Dawes Roll because why? They were able to get land, they were able to get free college education for their children, for their families, for generations to come, and receive checks from the casinos. We know that the majority of the people that signed the Dawes Roll were white people. Now let's see what they say. This is factual history. This is why they want AI to control everything. It's not actually AI can be what's the word that I'm looking for? Manipulated. It can be
Altered.
it can be altered. It can be exactly.
Program.
It's not going to be. It's not going to actually just be free roaming. It's going to have a purpose.
Yep.
And it's given orders, and so it stays within a certain.
Stay in the parameters.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can be.
Here,
So it's not true. All right. Because when they actually let AI run free,
It came
back around right, and that was around 2012
like
or 13. It came back and said that the Edomites, and it literally called them Edomites. The white people are Edomites, and they're the problem here on earth. And you would
Oh, I
eliminate,
remember that.
and you eliminate the world's
Yeah.
problems if you eliminate white people.
Yeah.
That's what the AI came back and said. There was a couple MIT.
Oh, let me reprogram
There was a
that.
couple MIT
They say
students.
that shit again.
Yeah, it was a couple MIT students that once again, there was a couple MIT students
Right.
that did this program and set it
Let it
loose
loose.
on the internet, and that was what it came back with. And they scrubbed that shit and removed it, and you cannot find the results of that anywhere.
I got 2 different answers right now. When I did the land claim act, first it said about the unmarried whites first. Then when I asked for it again, it said AI's answer, and then it said it was for 640 acres for a married couple, and then it said single whites. So it didn't say unmarried whites like it did before. So even
So
when
they
the
make
same,
adjustments, right?
it basically adjusts
It's a
when you keep
program.
looking into it.
It's called a program. AI is artificial and it's a program, and it corrects itself. And they have handlers that go in and make sure they change the code.
It's set
Even
to
on the
deceive.
Chat GPT, they give you updates. What's the updates? That's them going in and fixing and tweaking because
Because somebody has looked up something and found something, and it probably gives
Yeah.
off an alarm, and then they go in and reprogram. So it's all bullshit. But let me finish this, and then you bring out what you got, brother. It says the Dawes Roll is officially titled the final rolls of citizens and freedmen of the 5 civilized tribes in Indian Territory out of records the individuals who were accepted as eligible for tribal membership in the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole nations. All right, which I'm a part of the Seminole nation. So is that brother over there. All right, now, but you had untold thousands of white people who signed the Dawes Rolls who are part of these nations. That's why they're always at the powwows. And the so-called white people are the ones that are actually getting the checks from the casinos when they're actually bloodline natives who can prove it, including the ones that look so-called black. They're disregarded by the people who controls the Dawes Rolls. We've all seen the video and heard the video when he was calling in, and then, well, the hell with your records and your documents. You're black, all right? In 1883, in 1882, in Virginia, there was an act that was done, and that act classified freedmen Negroes and former slaves, all right, and it also classified natives as Negroes, as the same people, because they are the same people, all right. And then you had census enumerators that reclassified the large majority of Native Americans as Negro to prevent them from taking part in what I'm reading right now, and that's not mentioned. All right, it says, here's a note and more detailed explanation. Purpose: the Dawes Rolls were created by, somebody get Isaiah 25:15, Bob Kusha. The Dawes Rolls were created by the United States Dawes Commission, authorized by Congress in 1893 to execute the General Allotment Act of 1887, also known as the Dawes Act. The Dawes Act. This act aimed to assimilate Native Americans to mainstream U.S. society by dividing tribal lands into individual allotments, effectively ending communal land ownership. And the real natives are still to this day on fucked up reservations. Well, many of them is 2025, and they still don't have running water, nor indoor toilets.
A lot of them
They
live in
still
parks.
have a trailer parks and outhouses. Still to this day. All right.
And
where's they fucking check from the casino? Oh, no, brother, let me finish this. It says the act is aimed to I read that part. The 5 civilized tribes the Dawes Commission is focused on so fuck the other tribes. All right. It focused on the 5 civilized tribes.
Yes.
And see, the reason they were calling it, because these were all of these groups of white people who had signed the Dawes Roll were claiming Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw Creek, Muskogee, and Seminoles. You see, that's why the other tribes weren't. No, they're not civilized. The Sioux, the Comanche, no, not them, because they were real Gadites and Reubenites. You understand? That's what's happening here. But it says, who had established relatively stable and settled communities in what is now Oklahoma. The rolls also included freemen formerly enslaved African Americans. Remember what they did? They took natives and reclassified them as Negroes. Okay? All right? That's why you got these groups of jakes out there that's always trying to say that the natives were black too. Well, they were, but they still were natives though. They didn't come from West Africa. They were already here.
That's right.
Yes, they were. But the same slaves that came over from West Africa and those natives that were here all originally came from Israel.
That's it.
Okay? They still came from the same place originally. It said the rolls also included freemen formerly enslaved African Americans who had been emancipated after American Civil War and were their descendants. All right, you got to remember too that the Reubenite tribes, the Seminoles, took in thousands of Negroes. All right, so that's where you got your black Seminoles. All right, which they refused to make a movie about that because it would expose too much history. That's what, just like they won't make a modern movie about the Maccabees.
That's right.
And
Okay.
as a matter, I wouldn't say every so-called every time you see a so-called black, right? They actually be Reuben.
Yeah,
Sometimes the color don't matter
yeah.
because Jake
And I see a lot of I see
it.
a lot of Jake with them Gadite and Reubenite features
Yeah.
all the time. You can clearly see it now. Now that we in this troop, we had to understand. I see it. You see it all the time, man.
They said that if you were so-called black looking back in the day, you were a Native American Indian, but you refused to go to a particular reservation, they classified you as Negro. They said you would not be called.
That's what made John Horse take many of his tribal members south across America, southeast, across Louisiana, Mississippi, down into Mexico. All right, and they left a lot of people in Mississippi and Louisiana. There's a lot of Reubenites in Mississippi and Louisiana, and they went into Africa. Into Mexico, and John Horse, the Reubenites were given a huge plot of land down there. All right, they have a whole town down there of Reubenites, okay, that have intermingled with Issachar, and they made John Horse a general. All right, in their army because we were playing the Mexican before we started the old house, the old dance song, the Mexican, and the whole song is about the Alamo. John Horse, the Reubenite from Florida, fought in the fucking Alamo against Esau with the Mexicans. All right, so did Irish. Okay, it's a lot of history that's kept from us, man.
The battalion in St. Patrick used to have a
And
statue.
Reuben and
To this
Judah,
day.
it's known, but Reuben and Judah in Mississippi, they collided together, man.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of Reubenites in Mississippi, a lot of Reubenites in Louisiana.
That's right.
I got a precept.
Bring it out, brother.
This is Isaiah 10. I'm gonna start at 1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, because they always put in these unrighteousness, like y'all said, they separating them, just classifying them all as Negroes and all of that. To do this, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widow may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. That's the whole point. To just rob us, divide us, and keep us segregated and destroyed and not having anything and keeping us poor.
And the thing is, on the casinos, when I lived in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and the Chippewas were up there, and I got a firsthand, experience dealing with the natives there, and the guys there. They got checks, but their checks was equivalent to like maybe $500, $600, $700 a month type checks. And guess what they did? They were leaving a motherfucking trailer, motherfucking parts for the majority of them, except the top chiefs, whatever. And everybody didn't get the same pay. That's why they those with the dogs rolled, the Edomitish blood, whatever. They get all the stake of the casino. They get
to go to schools free too.
Yes. And guess what? Majority of those Gadites are doing? They're living just like niggas and like it look like the damn near projects. And half the time they high strung out on the same. To say woe to them. They give their neighbor to drink. They're all alcoholic, drug addicts, and do all. They're the ones who get in trouble. My place got 40,000 people, all 90% so-called white. All right, and then but guess who's the number one person in trouble in that whole region? Even though they're on the reservation, 10, 15 minutes away.
Every place where there's a reservation, there's a lot of murder and rape of Gadite women by white men. Facts. They catch them because a lot of them alcoholics. They go off the reservation, go to bars and get drunk, and they get raped and killed by white men. It happens all the fucking time, and it doesn't make the fucking media. All right, happens all the time, man.
Precept, just going into the whole thing, because the scriptures told us why not to be dealing with Esau, because this will happen. This is Sirach 12:10. I start at 10, but the point is in 12. It says, never trust thy enemy. Perfect. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, right? And so Gad, even though Esau, he showed you, he broke 500 treaties. He showed you he wasn't a man of integrity, right? But this is what happened. Verse 12, it says, set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. So how the hell they managed to strike up, this deal where the so-called natives that they own the casinos, but it ended up all the money, all the revenue, all the proceeds end up going to Edomites.
Right, they get their cut.
You see what I'm saying?
They get their cut, man.
So you was supposed to, man, you wasn't supposed to have no dealings with this guy whatsoever, man.
Hey, a gift, but that's why I forget. A gift destroyed the heart, man.
Oh, and they fought hard because of like Geronimo. There's a lot of Gadites and Reubenites still say, man, they would rather die because they got
many of them did.
Tears.
Many of them did. And when you know the story of Geronimo, they killed him like a coward. They stabbed him in the fucking back when he was an old man.
When he was
Right.
an old man.
when he was an old man,
Damn.
because he got basically his people were just giving in and selling out. He's like, I'm fighting for y'all, and for fucking what?
I heard
They
that.
got paid
All
off.
right, and
Yeah.
but you know it had to happen.
Damn.
Prophecy had to be fulfilled, man.
Mm.
Yeah, but that's what the mighty Geronimo. That's how he went out. So fucking Cracker stabbed him in the back with a fucking bayonet.
Just so he could say, I killed Geronimo.
So he gets right, say that I'm the one that killed Geronimo. He can't-
Is that what the thing go? Look out, Geronimo.
It's like another mistake of the Gaddites in the
Yeah,
past.
that's
Some
what it's saying.
tribes, they went back. They went matrilineal, matriarchal. We supposed to go paternal because they went back paternal. That'll kept Esau out their tribes and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what Esau do.
Well, everything had to happen.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
that was fairly popular.
They were going off.
Yep.
I got a precept.
Bring it out, brother.
Yeah, this is Psalm chapter 55, verse 20. He has put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant.
Every single one, every single treaty, every single word, everything he say when he come out in an election, I'm gonna do this and do that and do that. He don't do shit. that
Well,
he
look
say
at how
come
sad, angry, and pissed off
mad
and ready for civil war the MAGA people are now.
MAGA Knights.
Hey, you want to know what's so funny about it though? Even when he was at his height, like the 50s and the 60s and stuff, and he would make certain movies and shit. He would even go in on and tell on himself. Why? Because he said he would have the natives say, "You speak with a forked tongue."
Mm.
Anyway, anyway, you speak
Well,
with a forked
in the
tongue.
movie Kathmandu, with a young, what's her name? Jane Fonda.
Oh, yeah, she was-
You know, they have the whole scene where the Jane was hot, but she was young. But they had the whole scene with the Gadite
right.
and the he was what do you call it, a cowhand, all right, and the farm owner was telling him that he was an Israelite, that he talked to a senator of this
Yeah, I
here
remember
United
that.
States,
Damn.
and he says, "You from the lost tribes of Israel?" He was like,
Oh, I remember that cowboy.
Yeah.
I remember that cowboy
Yeah.
scene. I
And
remember that.
he's like, no, I don't speak Hebrew. He's like, go ahead and say
Yeah.
something in Hebrew.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm native. He's like,
Somebody-
right.
Yeah.
Oh, so
He said, now you're playing like you don't know. He said, the rabbi said
yeah.
that this is Hebrew,
Yeah.
and you say Hebrew, and that's what he's like, he said, I'm off to the lost tribes. I'm not special. I'm just an Indian.
Yep. Oh, so like he said, the chief was speaking to the rabbi in Hebrew.
Mhm.
He said they talking to each other in Hebrew and stuff, man.
Yep.
And so, and even in the movie, Blazing Saddles, somebody can look it up on the internet.
Yeah.
Look up the advertisement. The war dress, the headdress
Sure
that
did.
the chief is wearing has the paleo, the real Hebrew,
That's
not the
right.
Assyrian after
Sure
the
did.
fact
Sure
Hebrew,
did.
which isn't the real Hebrew. The Assyrian script is not the original or the real Hebrew.
And that was
The
a
mine-
popular, that was
right?
a popular movie.
But if you look it up, Blazing Saddles, which is funny as fuck.
It absolutely was.
All right, it is. If you've never seen it, it's a funny movie. But in the advertisement of the movie, the headdress
Sure did.
he's actually it's got the Assyrian Hebrew.
Yep.
There it is, brother.
Yep.
Choice of everybody, bro.
Yeah, walking around. But yeah, you're right. And it's funny how you can see something when you're a kid and then it connects later on.
Yep.
It's like, oh shit.
Actually, really, Yahweh made those movies to show us.
Yeah.
So they put that in your face, man.
Why would they do that? And
I was
99%.
thinking of the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They had the Phoenician.
Yeah.
But they put it in there because why? The oldest Hebrew relics known to man were found among the natives here in the Americas, even older than the ones that was found among the Negroes. But yet you still got people that want to discredit. You know, I played that video from like 11, 12 years ago with Superman. That Jake. That Gadite that made the little rap beat with the flute and all that stuff. I played it for Ashi, had never seen it. New brothers ain't seen that. We got to bring that back, man. Bros has been in for like the last, 6, 7, 8 years. They ain't never seen that, man.
Movie class.
And you watch that video and it's clear to see that they're Hebrews, man. That they're Israelites. And he was in full Gadite ceremonial attire.
And there's
Right?
a lot of movies.
Pop locking, rapping, singing, mixing, scratching.
And it's a lot of more movies that actually expose how certain chants you can hear yo ho ho yo ho. You can hear Yahweh in a broken dialect. You can hear it to them.
Especially war chants.
You know what?
Especially war chants.
Just like you put on that video, pull it up. You don't play like
There been cases where
the one I just spoke about.
Gadites go to the state of Israel.
No, Superman.
And when they speak their language, the Israeli government send them home. They say, "You got Gadite, you can't be saying those chants and stuff because you got the true name."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Superman?
I'm about to send it to you.
Okay.
Prayer loop song. They went right to it. There it is. I'm sending it straight to you.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
So back
As soon as you see it, you'll remember it. We haven't seen it in years. But there's a lot of newer brothers. They ain't never seen this video.
Yeah,
Man.
like you said,
I did lessons on this video
and like you said,
many years ago.
a lot of the movies like that, man. They had them, and they be tapping
Put
into
it
the
on there.
name
Put
of
it
your
on the
hour.
big screen.
And this, that, now.
Oh,
it's still
Drawing
hot.
on the power, get ready to go to war. And
No,
they
just
was-
fast
that's
forward,
what make
bro.
that's what
I
makes
remember that.
Fast forward?
I remember
Just
that.
yeah, you remember.
to what part?
Well, no, let's let it play a little bit. But we're not seeing it. Doesn't do it the justice.
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah,
I-
yeah.
You gotta see when you see it. You
Power,
know,
you got power it up.
because he's mixing all the
I
sounds
remember,
together.
yeah, I remember that years ago. Yeah. Man, that shit was
That shit was fire.
7-8 years ago.
The shade is
You
so
start
good.
beatboxing.
Yeah, I'm getting way too
That's how we all make music. You layer it. That's how you make. That's how
Yep.
we record. You layer music together.
Oh, that's cold right there.
I gotta Shazam that
What's that script they say? Gas is troops overtake.
First of all, I couldn't
But
rock
the
the
end,
button.
he
Wait,
off.
he's just getting started. He ain't started rapping yet.
Somebody got an old version. Gag gonna overtake it too.
Yeah, might get that on deck. Bring it back this way, Barbecue Shop. This shit was raw as hell.
Who's Bobby? Please don't put your wine on the floor, Bobby. That's beautiful.
He got a boom box, a turntable. He starts scratching. Then he start rapping about loving everybody. That's how you know it's Jake.
Yeah.
Okay, Jam.
But the point been made, man.
Right.
All right. So Esau's in denial of the truth of the matter. You got a lot of Jakes that's in denial because you still got Jakes that want to deny the Northern Kingdom, man. And that's beyond obvious. If you're a spiritual person, you can clearly see and hear.
Yep.
That guy, when he breaks down, he starts pop locking and shit. He didn't even start rapping yet. He starts rapping toward the end of it, man.
So like you would have so-called black culture went for the Gadites because half your culture is from the tribe of Gad is half of the tribe of Gad, so-called American Indians. Then half of it from the tribe of Judah, so-called blacks. So you can't separate the two, man. No matter how much you try.
They even showed you that in 12 Years a Slave.
Right. Yeah, I love that scene.
When the slaves ran up on Gad in the forest.
And it was a break scene. It was a break scene where Jake sneaking out. Oh shit! And God like say, oh shit! And then they cut the black. And then when they come back up, they're all there. They
got the fire going and cooking and shit. Like,
oh, okay. You don't like him? I don't like that motherfucker either.
Right. They were all sitting there. Yeah, can't stand them white folks.
Same as you. Same.
What did he do?
And even then, some of us you got to remember they beat the Hebrew out of a lot of Jake coming over here. They
beat the Hebrew out of Gad here.
Yeah.
When they separated the children from the schools and cut their hair, and then let them speak their tongue because the Gadites were speaking broken Hebrew.
Yep. And that's how they were able to communicate with the slaves. And just as we go back, you'll find that the main number one interpreter that came on the Cristobal Colon, who they ignorantly call Christopher Columbus, and there was 5 interpreters, they'll be like, I don't know the rest of them they spoke in. What they shut up. How you gonna have 5 interpreters from the main one Hebrew, not the rest of them Hebrew, if that's the AI shit?
They had 5 more Moorish Hebrew speaking interpreters.
And they
And they were
showed you
able
that.
to get
They
to
showed
Right,
you that
and,
14, they
and
showed
one
you
of
that
them's name
movie,
was
14,
Torres.
too.
The main one name was Torres.
Yep, that was
God,
the number. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? You know what's so cold? The Lord's so cold. If we read David the 7th chapter, it talks about the French War, the Spanish War, and the Britain War. Right? That's already written in the scriptures already.
Kind. And all these land grabs came as a result when all those wars were over.
Yeah,
Because all that land was available. now.
Yep.
So you can't get around the truth.
Man, the Lord already prophesied.
Did you want me to play some more of this too? Elder?
Yeah.
Spain sold land to the Americas on paper because that was their home. One thing it did allow finally was for women to be landowners, but it was repealed in 1855. Now, in 1862, we have the Homestead Act. This, interestingly enough, was championed by Andrew Johnson when he was in the Senate. Then he came on to be Lincoln's vice president, and it was signed by Lincoln in 1862. It offered you 160 acres of land, free and clear, if you could improve it. So you had to live on the land, farm it, and stay there, improve it for 5 years. This is covered in Little House on the Prairie. That's what they were doing. It encouraged you to move to the Plains states, sort of the middle of the country, and set up farms. It was meant to encourage the poor to middle class individual farm. But of course, most people couldn't even afford to get started because you needed gear, you needed a wagon, you needed horses, you needed a plow, you needed all of this stuff to even work the land and build a home. You needed lumber, you needed stuff, you needed support, infrastructure, and capital to get started. And of course, it became a hotbed for fraud. So all these poor people couldn't bother to get started. They just didn't even know how to approach any of this. It's like being dropped into the wilderness, like a game of Survivor. Okay, go. Most people couldn't pull it off. So what happened? Miners, mining companies, lumber companies, railroads came in and took advantage of this deal and set up shop. However, it was the greatest expansion of individual land ownership in this country, and it was mostly taken advantage of by white people. 93 million American citizens are considered direct descendants of homesteaders that are still alive.
Pause it.
That's a third of the nation.
That's a third of the nations. A third of the nation has a cumulative generational autonomous wealth that they were able to pass
For
on
free.
from generation to generation to generation for fucking free.
Pull us
Right.
up by our bootstraps.
Exactly. And she even mentions that. He said, how you gonna pull yourself up by bootstraps when you never even were given a pair of fucking boots? So go ahead, brother.
You're just giving the strings.
Today, that's almost 1 out of 3 American citizens are a beneficiary of this generational wealth that came from the practice of homesteading. Then, of course, is the 40 acres and a mule
And
deal.
that's what makes it so mad, because when you have arguments with these Edomites, they'll say, my forefathers came and worked hard. They came from nothing.
Because they were
started.
told that bullshit.
That's right.
They were told. It's the same way when you listen to small Israeli children. They've been told,
They
that
the
they're
people.
special and everyone else is beneath them.
That's right.
They've been lied to. So they really believe
Yeah,
that.
they do.
And so they defend it because in their mind they're right until they finally, because the older ones know.
I got a question though, Elder Malcolm.
Go ahead.
What do homesteading? What does that mean?
Homesteading basically it means welfare recipients.
Basically,
That's what it means.
Right.
They gave them free land, so it's a homestead. Now you go to that land and you build your homestead there.
And you see, here's the thing. They talk about how
Wait,
they
hold on. So, you talking about some shit like how you doing? This your house? So I go in. This is my shit now.
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Homestead.
You've been discovered joke.
Oh, okay.
Which won't be a joke.
I'm just trying to figure out what that means.
No, that's what it said. It said one of the biggest problems or controversies that it caused was displacement of the natives.
Right.
So, like the elder said, is yes, if you're
Already there.
Homesteading, that's like a fancy word to
And
say.
that's what she
I
said.
just took your shit.
land
Pretty
grab.
much.
Yeah,
Land
Oh,
grab.
okay.
Land
So, you
grab.
know, this is
Man,
like,
that shit fucked
like we
up.
said, we're gonna go to Lincoln Park, go to Hoffman Estates, and be like, on the biggest mansion door.
We discovered your house.
They'll be, yeah, may I help you? Oh, yeah. I just discovered you.
That's it.
You're in my bed.
Right.
Right.
So you can get out.
Right.
You can leave the Benz in the garage. You can leave the Bentley there too.
That's it.
But you just leave.
Oh, no. Actually, I have to lock the door because you can't leave because the witch that's up in the bed is mine.
So the thing is that yeah, they've been discovered now.
Okay.
So and the thing is that this was all a part of what? Manifest destiny.
Yeah.
This is what they pushed. That's why Matt Walsh was proud of Manifest Destiny, not knowing and understanding or acknowledging that Manifest Destiny has a part 2.
Well, they say the road west was paved in gold, but it was paved in blood because they had to disrupt all the natives' patterns, hunting, basically hunting patterns.
Yeah.
All right, Esau did more than just pave the fucking road. He killed it, and he has all that blood.
He weakened them and destroyed them. The same way he brought disease, because now it's also a fact. I'm gonna do a lesson on it as well.
You know
but
what?
There's a fact that the Black Plague wasn't spread by rats like they said. It was spread by people. Esau brought that disease, and that disease wiped out Jake, and Esau was able to.
That's all.
And when they were taken, Europe away from Western Asia, as it was called before the Renaissance.
Western Asia.
They were taking Western Asia and then later named it Europe, away from the from the so-called black people that were ruling. They weakened and destroyed them with those diseases, and it wasn't spread by rats. That's the propaganda, the lie. It was spread by them. Esau brought that.
Shit and piss off them.
He brought that filth and wiped out those people, man. And when that was happening was when Esau took over. When Jake was in France, that wasn't happening. They weren't throwing piss and shit out.
What you call that when they throwing the piss out the what they like?
That's where they get umbrellas from.
Yeah.
And that's also where they invented high heels so that their feet will be elevated above the shit pits.
I forget what you call it.
And that's your Renaissance, because that before then, if you go look at all those castles that were built there, those were built before the Renaissance. And that Jake had built. They had street lights. They had castles. They had everything. They
had sewage and irrigation and all kind of.
But then when Esau came down, he came out of the caves. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing. So he came out there grunting out of braying.
Ooking and booking.
They tell us
he was the real ooking and booking.
So easy, any man can do it.
Yeah, when they draw them little cartoons with the big lip, super black,
that's really was them.
Hey, that bag with that dirt there was on their ass because they wasn't washing it. Right. But I was going to say though in that thing where she was talking about that them farming. But that's why a lot of them cats didn't even go. A lot of them wind up, instead of going into farming where they had to try to plow fields and this, that, and the other. Since that grass was out there, a lot of them went into just cattle
herding
and shit.
That's your modern show, 1883.
Yep.
The Dalton, that show that was so popular with
Bonanza.
That one, but the latest one,
that
1883 Yellowstone. Because that's that land. That we're talking. That's why I couldn't watch Yellowstone, because I knew how they got the land.
Right.
The Dalton family.
That's right.
All right, because they were the recipients of all that stolen land passed down from generation to generation. Right. Yellowstone is a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, a perfect fucking example.
I got
all right. These brothers have scriptures. He has scriptures, but go ahead, bring them out.
No, this is what the scripture is. Just what you were talking about when you brought up that farmland. I was holding this. It says direct government farm payments forecast increased to 2025. So all the land they stole, this is a U.S. Department of Agriculture. It says they U.S. using the farm bill, they gave these people $42.4 billion for 2025.
Hold on. You gave $42 billion
for 2025.
But the biggest landholder now is Gates.
I'm just telling you what it says, and then just check this out. This I put it in the info room, and it says and then they gave them. Reflects higher anticipated payments from supplemental and ad hoc disaster assistance. So even if the farm ain't producing, they still get the money.
But that's what I'm saying. So
right. So hold on. You got to break that down, brother.
This
right here. He putting it up on the screen. You got to break it down.
This is
that's a German tapestry.
Yeah, Wild Man versus the Moors. And this is when Esau Edom, where you'll see him coming right here, and you see them fighting the Moors. This is a famous tapestry going dating
It's from
back.
the 1500s in Germany.
Right.
That's what that is.
Yeah, I'll put it up because the brother
It was about the mid 1500s in Germany.
White.
White wild men. That because that's what they tried. You know, they took Viking history and intermingled it with wild men history to try to make it look like the Edomites.
Oh, that's what get that idea.
But the truth of them exactly. But they were really just the wild men, and it was Jake. And see, so when you look at the 1500s, medieval times, the Dark Ages, Jake was ruling all those lands where King Arthur and King James and King George and all that was all so-called black people. And that tapestry from the 1500s is evidence of it. That's a receipt.
And the brother from GMS Melbourne, he mentioned it, which reminded me of it. I'm familiar with it, and I said, let me pull it up.
All right, but bring those 3 scriptures that you brothers was holding.
I got this is Micah 2:1. Y'all was talking about how they
that's the one the elder.
He never finished it. He never finished it. So go ahead.
It's Micah 2:1. It says, "Woe." It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their bed. When the morning is light, they practice it because of the power of the end, because they do this wickedness. And they cover field and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage." And that's what they do. They steal your heritage, everything about you. They taking your house, which is your family. They stealing all of that.
Language.
They stealing they even stealing the goddamn penny, the shoe, everything.
Your way of life.
The crumbs.
Take the damn toenail.
The Grinch, like the Grinch came back and took the crumb from the mouse.
Oh yeah.
Like they don't care. This is how this Edomite get down.
No, it's called home. What you call that, elder? It's called homestead, right?
Yeah.
You call that?
Well, the technical definition of homestead means a house.
Right.
They took a house, and that's why homestead now means taking over somebody else's shit.
So that's what the devil.
Well, it's a night because they have to rewrite and word things so that it doesn't just say colonizers.
Right.
All right, exactly. So they just don't so that they because they hate it when they get called colonizers.
It sounds more bogus when you call it a land grab.
Right.
Land grab for whites.
This is on Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city is full of lies and robbery. Depart not, depart not. Esau stole the land, the massive disaster.
And he transformed himself.
He gets more.
Yeah. Now, I got a quick precept because we was going into the second part of that manifest destiny. All right, this is Lamentations 1, and I'm gonna start with verse 21. They have heard that I have sighed. There is none to comfort me. All my enemies have heard of my trouble. They are glad that thou hast done it. Thou wilt bring the day that thou hast called, and they shall be like unto me. Like all their wickedness come before thee, and do unto them as thou hast done unto all my also that thou hast done unto me for all my transgressions, for my sighs are many, and my heart is faint. So all the things we're going through, all right, because of course, we've
Go
been
to
on,
4:21-22.
but now you have to pay for it, man.
I got one.
All right, the curses is coming off of us and sticking to you. Lamentations 4:22, perfect.
21-22.
Yes, sir.
Lamentations 4:21, verse 22. Rejoice, be glad, O daughter of Edom,
Hope you're watching, Matt Walsh.
that dwellest in the land of Uz.
Oh, you's a bitch. That Walsh.
The cup also shall pass unto thee.
Guess what? A cup of slavery, nigga.
Hard R.
No, for real.
And it's gonna be double.
It said the same cup that we drunk, that wasn't supposed to drink it. We drunk it, but you gonna drink it with no chaser, nigga.
Surely.
He said double. He
What
said,
you talking about?
he said double. So
Y'all supposed to rejoice in that, man.
absolutely.
That's our rejoicing, man. We can't say that because it's truth.
Thou should be drunken.
Yep.
And shall make thyself naked. Right? Hey, he's gonna have to drink what? The dregs. The dregs of the cup.
Yep.
Verse
Double.
22. The punishment of thy iniquity, like the brothers all riled up. He said, what? That's our salvation.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be,
supposed to be happy about
rousing
that.
up and getting happy for. All right, that psalm says what? They had high praises in their voices. All right, while they was doing what? Executing judgment.
Hey, and look, the Bible is the Lord's theater, his movie about revenge. I just rewatched The Last Blood, the very last Rambo movie.
Oh, Rambo, yeah.
But Rambo dies.
Oh, Rambo always been wrong.
But Rambo got his vengeance and died peacefully on his property, on his fucking porch. After he slayed all his enemies. All right, because the best stories are stories of revenge. All right.
I got a scripture for you.
God, let me finish this. Barbecue shot. Can you finish this?
It says, "Thy punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity."
Guess what? The scripture say, "Affliction not rise a second time." Man.
Right. For you
That's
clowns
that's the beautiful thing about this, bro. We not going. Hey,
so that means all the shit that they got planned for us to oppress us, the shaming, the oppression, it's all going to come up short because
the gallows are for them.
They're not going to rise up this time. So as soon as they start doing it, all right, it's not going to last long because now Yahushua, once you start putting your hands on the elect, man.
Hey, it says he will visit thy iniquity. How is he going to visit? Isaiah 47, third verse. All right, he ain't gonna meet you as a man. O daughter of Edom, he will discover thy sins.
And he gonna raise his men up. He gonna lift up that standard, and, and his men gonna put foot to ass.
Feet.
Okay, this is Exodus 21:16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
And there it is. That's the part of Manifest Destiny.
That's part
that you part 2. All right. If your stolen property get found in your hand, you're gonna get put to death, man.
That's right.
All right.
What's the rock say? The man that sees the fall of his enemy.
God.
That's it.
Man.
You got something?
Yeah, you brothers bring them out. You've been holding something for a while, man. Bring it out, brother.
This Job 20:23. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So he's not going to get a chance to accomplish everything he wants to, man. The Lord going to catch his ass with his drawers down, bro.
What verse you at?
This Job 20:23.
Go up a little bit.
Yes,
The fullness of his sufficiency, I think 2021 something.
Yep, 22. Job 20:22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency.
So he just signed a bill. Trump just signed a bill that they're going to implement to finish the digital process.
Yep.
So they're going. So they're really looking to go digital come June.
Hey,
and I hope so. I hope that it's June for that simple fact. It's going to be poetic justice against Nate Satan and them zombies at IUIC, Israel United in Christianity. Right?
In Mexico, they got this corp system where they're basically centralizing all the information. Basically, you know how in New York they did that act about that one autistic kid that was missing. So it was this act where they wanted to introduce where certain kids, depending on their medical status, they'd have an implant so they could track them. In Mexico, since they found that massive graveyard of them, all them people missing, what they're saying is, hey, look, now we're gonna centralize all the information, which means we're gonna put together social, which is everything. Jake's been warned about everything,
just like the real ID. And then who you got in there?
Exactly, brother.
You got Elon centralizing what all the computers for what one database. All right. Now, even with this digital market that's getting ready to come out,
flourish.
You see what they're doing. Mississippi, they just passed, hey, no more income tax for regular citizens. Elon Musk is paying people millions of dollars. Just, hey, thank you for voting. They're buying people's souls. So when that MOT come out,
that's also because the Federal Reserve is failing.
That's right.
Right. It's failing, and it's too much corruption, and it's failing. All of America's system is going to come down. And I find it funny, very ironic too, with all this wasting money and all these incentives that money that they can't control. The DOJ has said nothing about Title 4D. Absolutely nothing.
It's extortion.
Okay. You know,
That's what it is.
It's just funny that they've been so quiet about that. You know, as he's getting rid of shit, and they ain't trying to get rid of that though.
Right.
Even though it's because it's funny how American citizens are complaining about how they're doing things and going around And all of a sudden, Americans are concerned with people doing things that violate the Constitution. Title 4D violates the Constitution,
Right.
probably worse than any other thing that they got out there.
Fat mouth.
And if you don't know, that Title 4G is the child support system.
Okay.
It's a complete violation of the Constitution because with the way they enforce it.
Right.
They could actually enforce it differently, and it could be within the law, but it's way out of the bounds of the law. They actually break the law and use in the courts to separate the powers. And saying that they put you under that shit. Basically, they're operating under their own law within the law of the land, and the Constitution is supposedly the supreme law of the land. And anything, including IRS, Federal Reserve, because they operate outside of the Constitution as well. They operate illegally. No, because this is what I'm telling you is fact. You can look this thing up for yourself. That wages are not supposed to be taxed.
Absolutely.
They're not taxable. Earnings are taxable.
Capital gains.
If you punch a card and you trade time for dollars, meaning you sign in and you sign out for work, that's trading time for dollars. You're earning wages. Wages are not taxables. That's why it's in the parentheses.
Right.
All right. By them, what's taxable is earnings.
Capital gains.
Right. Capital. That's earnings.
That's it. Exactly.
Anything that earns money. If I got a business where I'm sitting at
Passive
home,
income.
I'm sitting on my ass and I'm earning money just sitting on my ass.
Passive income.
That's earnings. Passive income. That's taxable. A guy who goes out and busts his ass washing dishes, cooking, sweeping, building, whatever it is that he's doing, tapping on a computer, and then he clocks out and goes home. That guy's trading time for dollars. Wages are not supposed to be taxed. It's actually illegal to do so. They've been fucking over Americans for a long time. So don't get mad now. You should have got mad a long time ago. All right?
You know, I figured out. Sometimes you get that mail, your whole fucking name being
capital letters.
Large letter. Yeah, exactly.
Capital.
Like, why am I saying
Why?
do like a corporation?
Because that's the straw man that they create to put, and they put the straw man under the contract, and then they make the physical you responsible for it.
Exactly.
It's all contractual law. It's all wickedness. That's how they commit their fraud. All right. Will somebody get Job 18? Would you hold some, Lahab?
Yeah, I had Isaiah 33.
Okay. And what you got?
I was finishing up.
Finish it out, brother.
This Job 20 and 22. It said, "In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. It shall rain it upon him while he is eating."
There you go. And all it would have took was for every American to stand up and say, every American that works for a living, and say no. And they could have got rid of the IRS a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right. It's completely operating outside the perimeters of the law. And it's almost like it's a fourth part of the government because you letting the privately owned entities, Federal Reserve, IRS, that when no one elected any of them, override your three branches of government and make rules over you. And they can't do that. Okay? We got what you got. And then somebody get Job 18, and we're gonna get it right up. Start at verse 5.
Jacob's gonna rise up too. That's what it goes into. Jacob's gonna rise up too and say, "Fuck this government." What's that saying?
Well, the Edomites are ready to do it now.
All
right, and they're ready to say, "Fuck Jake." The racist ass right wingers. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They train in MMA. They look hot garbage. You know they got them MMA leagues. It's only white guys. And they go to any other league, they gonna get the flops put on.
The Foo Flops.
All right.
Wait, who we got?
Here come the Foo Fighters.
You got
Go ahead.
This is Isaiah 33:1. Woe to thee that spoilest when thou was not spoiled, and dealest treachery, and they dealt not treacherously with thee.
Yeah. So now treachery is going to be. They're gonna try to stop and stop doing treacherously, and try to be peaceful with everyone, but it's too late for that. Everybody's on to you, and everybody wants to be Rambo.
That's it.
All right. If you never seen that last movie, The Last Blood,
that was good.
Man,
on his own land, control environment.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
He had tunnels in there.
Yeah.
Going on, boy.
Yeah, man. But somebody get Job 18, start at
I
verse
got it.
5, read, go all the way to 19, Baba Kushak.
This is Job chapter 18, verse 5.
Perfect.
Yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet.
And his own counsel is casting them down. That's why they get ready to go to war with each other. And they're hurting each other. All right. These Edomites that feel so betrayed by MAGA and I believed in you. I believed in America. And
They gonna fight.
And you taking everything from me. Well, go ahead.
It says, and he walketh upon a snare. It says the jinn shall take him by
This
the
nigga
heel.
then broke glass, turned the light off, and took your shoes.
Come on,
And tell you to come on out. You trying to walk to the door. You know,
Right.
All right, but go ahead, brother.
It says the jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side.
Wow.
It shall devour the strength of his skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength.
Right. So he done brought all these bullets for Negroes and Hispanics, natives, and they gonna end up pew-pewing each other.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
The right against the left.
Oh, and it's deep.
Because you're gonna have them militant ass transgenders out there that know how to handle weapons. All right, but go ahead.
Pissed off at the Bible Belt.
Right. It's ma'am. It says
It's man.
it says his confidence shall be ruled.
Damn, that shit crazy. It's man, mom.
It's ma'am.
That shit crazy.
Right, be ready to fight you and shit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
It says his confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors.
So when you look at the confusion and the chaos, the quagmire that they have gotten themselves into, where every form of government is failing, and then you got this dope that have to go in and find all this corruption and all this wasteful spending, and what it shows you is that the so-called white man was never apt to be in rulership.
Right.
That he's really not. You know, he right. They like if society would not run without us. Look at it.
Right.
Your society is all backwards and falling and the fuck upside down.
Right.
All right.
He's a pretender.
You're not apt to rule. But go ahead, brother.
If I may,
Yeah.
because in
lied on
that
his resume.
Sirach chapter 10 and 4, it says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will.
I was pulling. Go ahead, you got it.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead,
I was
read.
pulling down. That's exactly why I was pulling it up.
Yeah, Sirach 10 and 4.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I was.
But you go all the way to 19.
Not yet.
Go ahead, brother.
It says
And then we'll finish with that Sirach.
Job 18 and 15. It says, it shall dwell in his tabernacle because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off.
The Lord said he's gonna totally kill this nigga.
That's right.
It's like
Branch.
It's so parabolic.
Branch is literally, your dick, your sperm line.
Cutting everything off.
All right. When you're a branch of your father. Your father's a branch of his father.
Right.
He said his branch shall be cut off.
No, it says the stem of Jesse.
Cut off from the bottom.
It says, verse 17. It says his.
And then what Arya said when she left that girl alive, and she told her, she left alive and said, because she killed every fucking body. The guy was looking for, where are my fucking sons? Where are those no good? Where are my fucking sons? And she still had on a mask. And she said, well, they're right here. They're right here, sire. She said, well, where are they? And then she pointed to his plate. You've been eating them. She killed his sons and put them in the food. And so, and that was all his family and his people out there. She poisoned the wine because she had dressed up like him.
Man, what is that?
No, this shit is cold. And there was a girl standing there, and she said, let's have a toast to all my family and friends. She became a master disguise. So she became nobody. They called it, the whole thing. You become nobody. You could become anyone. So she didn't already kill this nigga, fed him his sons, and now she dressed up like him. and his whole family is at a feast celebrating when they killed her family. See, they killed her family. So it's all about vengeance. So Arya says, you know, let us drink. You know, she sounded like him and everything. And they all drank, and then she didn't drink hers, and she started looking at him. And all of a sudden they all start falling, throwing up blood and shit like that, because the girl was about to drink wine, and she said, "No, not you. I'm gonna waste my wine on a woman."
Oh,
and so the girl didn't drink, and then the girl watched everybody die. All right, and then she pulled off the mask and told the girl, because she was from Winterfell. All right, and she told her, "You let everybody know what happened here, and that winter has come. Winter's coming for these motherfuckers."
Man.
Let's ride.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the Game of Thrones, brother.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead, finish it, brother.
Finish your name out of your mouth.
Oh, y'all.
That shit cool,
This is
bro.
Job 18:17. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. He shall be driven from light into darkness and chased out of the world.
And chased out of the world. So as much as now you want to make peace, now you want to be friends. And because Esau does not want to pay for what he's done.
Right.
That angel of light ain't working no more. He
Hey.
disguised himself like he's Superman and shit.
Mhm.
It's not good.
The left hand side is being quiet now.
My weed is wearing off.
He has been discovered now for the devil who he is.
The rabbit got
Everybody is on Esau's ass. It's not just us. Right? All of the information that came out, that was from an Edomite woman.
The documentaries that them Elamite women were doing over there in Europe about what Esau did to the Indians, man, and the Chinese when he got them hooked on basically drugs and shit.
Yes.
And-
Opium.
Yes, that's right, brother. Opium.
Turn them into whores and stuff.
Yep.
And, you know, and stole their land and then they profits and did what he did.
They say, and they even showed you that in what's that? End of the Dragon. Remember when Lee went down?
Oh, yeah.
That sellout selling it.
Uh-huh.
That
Go ahead, Capo, finish it out.
This is Job 18:19.
Yeah.
He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwelling.
There it is. Because if if they kill your sons, but your brother got sons, then y'all still good. You're gonna kill your brother and your brother's sons too.
Nephew.
Right.
Right? There ain't gonna be no nephews. No more blood, none of your bloodline, man.
Nothing from nothing leave.
All right. Only your women, and the good looking ones gonna be used as bed wenches
There you go.
until it's time for them to be destroyed. Because I don't care how fine you was, how good the box was, you go into the fire with the rest of your people when that day come.
Disco Inferno.
Right? Be cold with it. Be like, remember the good times.
I'll catch you later down.
To the fire you go.
Ain't never, as will never be after that time period, a race of so-called Edomitish, whitish to reddish skin, pale people.
They're going to be erased from the earth.
Yeah.
Thus said the Bible, not us.
That's
the
it.
Bible says it.
That's it.
Go read it for yourself.
Let me bring this out.
Go ahead, brother.
So verse 20, Job 18:20.
Read on.
It says in the NLT, it says, people in the West are appalled at their fate.
Go ahead.
Read.
That's crazy. They will say this was the home of a wicked person,
Wow.
the place of one who rejected God.
Did not the rabbi say that Western society, Europe and America are Asaph? Western Christianity is Asaph, Esaph. Well, some say Asaph, some say Esaph.
Right.
All right.
That's crazy.
All right.
Wow, that's it.
Let's go ahead and finish it out.
That was
brother.
it.
This is Job 30:8. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. This is Ecclesiasticus 10:4. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Who's over it right now is the basis of men.
That's it.
That he is the scum of the earth. You cannot get no lower than Esau Edom. All right. And that's why the Lord said he's going to eradicate this true virus out of the earth. All right.
And guess what the Lord set up? He's setting up the already. Guess what? One that's profitable. Because what Yahweh Shai say? He said the kingdom of heaven is within you.
That's right.
These people looking for a fucking temple And guess what? We are the lively stones, man.
Right. We are the.
Hey, we not getting pushed to a corner. No, hey, the scriptures say your prophet should not be pushed to a corner anymore, man. Nigga, after this, it's the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
That's right.
We the end though. That's why we so, bro. Look, we so proud of what's going on because the way they say, Esau's the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning with that followers, man.
There it is.
Wisdom of Solomon says,
This our shit, man.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So
Fuck
with that,
Babylon, man.
we're gonna give all praises, all honor and glory unto
Unto
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakadash.
Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
Abad the ball.
Abad the ball.
Turn those machines back on.